public hearing on a distance waiver application for TD. Distance waiver application for a liquor license. We have ordinances on second reading. Number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Section 328, 120, Parks and Recreation Fees. Number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, establishing Chapter 229, entitled Restricted Areas and Buildings where Municipal Operations are Conducted, limited to authorized employees only, to protect and safeguard public records containing confidential information. Number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 1703, General Regulations regarding the sections 1703-225, Outdoor Mechanical Equipment, and Section 1705-020, Off-Street Parking Requirements. Number 4, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 1706, Signage Requirements, in regards to Section 1706-060, Permitted Sign Regulation Table. Number 5 is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 16, Land Development Code, Chapter 1616, provisions applicable to both Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment in regards to Section 1616.050, hearings. And number 6, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, Administrative Personnel, Chapter 264, Department of Police, in regards to police extra duty rates for 2025 to 2028. We have ordinances on first reading. Number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 29, Time Limit Parking in regards to Livingston Avenue and New Street. Number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Sections 328, 100, Fees for Open Public Records, and 328, 110, Police Department Fees. We then have resolutions 1 to 25. Number 1 is to approve agenda amendments. Number 2 is approve payroll. Number 3 is authorized refund for redeemed tax sale certificates. 4 is authorized tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. 5, authorized refund to Patrick Fasano in a total amount of $2,547.08. 6 is approved request for use of city property and use of city sidewalk requested by the Roosevelt Elementary School, New Brunswick Board of Education, and also sidewalk locations for Redmond Street and Joyce Kilmer Avenue. Number 7 is to authorize professional service agreement with Hogan Longo Moran Dunstan Dukas, LLP, for representation in the matters of Bright versus Hobish, et al., Brenda Gaden and Tom Boylan, also with Dwyer, Connell, and Lisbona, LLP, for representation in the matter of Bright versus Hobish, et al., James Hobish, Kimberly Milligan, and Charlie Gaden. Number 8, approve award of contract with Business and Governmental Insurance Agency, BGIA, for insurance brokerage services prescription program. Number 9, advise and consent to the Board of Ethics appointment, Jeanette Torres. Number 10, application and acceptance for fiscal year 2025 local recreation improvement grant $100,000. 11, authorize application and execution of grant agreement with New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, on Green Acres Program, Urban Parks Grant for Joyce Kilmer Park. 12 is approve amendment of Resolution R092407. The reason is a 1-year contract extension with McMenamin, Scotland, and Bowman, LLC, for legal counsel services for housing and rehabilitation matters. 13 is approve resolutions authorizing acceptance and execution of grant agreement and funding in the amount of $5,100 with the Middlesex County Office of Arts and History. 14 is to approve award of contract with On-Site Fleet Service Incorporated for emergency vehicles, parts, and repair services for the fire department. Number 15 is approve award of contract with Absolute Fire Protection Company Incorporated for fire aerial ladder service repairs. Number 16 is the advise and consent to the appointment of Chris S. Stellatella as Director of Fire. 17, approve amendment of Resolution R112460, to raise an additional amount of $10,200 $292 with Garden State Laboratories Incorporated. Number 18 is approve amendment of resolution R112461, the reason additional amount of $35,126 with Garden State Laboratories. 19 is approve amendment of resolution R102426, the reason additional amount of $11,853 for the Department of Public Works with Sal Electric for electrical maintenance and repair services. Number 20 is authorization for extension of agreement between the City of New Brunswick and Senior Citizen Resource Center and Parker Foundation Incorporated for continued support of the Dial a Ride program in the amount of $215,000. 21, approve person-to-person and place-to-place transfer of liquor license from Rhythm Hospitality Group LLC, a pocket to Keith Teddy's, trading as Keith Teddy Ballroom, Takata Street. Excuse me. 22 is approve rejection of bid and authorize them to rebid for kennel services. 23 is to approve amendment of resolution R122460, release of site performance guarantee and cash deposit of $13,112.64, along with any accrued interest due as verified by the CFO. 24, advise and consent to Parks and Gardens Commission appointment of Ruth Leffler. And 25, approve award of contract with Matt McDonald Group Incorporated, doing business as Matt McDonald LLC, for engineering services for the lead service line replacement project, specification number 33825 RFP, not to exceed $1,345,000, fair and open. We then have items for discussion by council and public comments. And our dates to remember for our next agenda review session is February 19th, followed immediately by the City Council meeting of February 19th. So at this time, we'll have a call to the order.
Councilmember Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Gaskin. Here. Councilmember Sikora Ludwig is absent. Council Vice President Castañeda.
Here.
Council President Anderson.
Here. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act have been complied with and satisfied, and that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the Municipal Council of the City of New Brunswick, has been filed with the City Clerk, has been placed on the appropriate bulletin board at City Hall, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News. If you will and you're able, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You join me in a moment of silence again for our men and women overseas, our fire, police, first responders, and for all those who need our help. Thank you.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castañeda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Madam Clerk, has the correspondence been directed to the appropriate departments for correspondence?
Yes, Council President, the correspondence received by the City Clerk's office was forwarded to the appropriate departments for further action.
Thank you. We have one public hearing on a distance waiver application for FTDs Incorporated, liquor license number 121433079-009-13 Patterson Street and 369 George Street. Shammy, take it.
Yes, Council President, members of council, before council this evening is a public hearing with respect to this particular person-to-person, place-to-place transfer of Cafete's Inc. The license is being transferred from Rhythm Cafe, Rhythm Hospitality Group, rather, LLC. The license being within 250 foot of another licensed premises require under our city ordinances that the council conduct what's called a distance waiver hearing in connection with the distance waiver application. Before the council tonight is for consideration is the person-to-person, place-to-place transfer, and that necessary prerequisite for that would be council's agreement to provide or grant the distance waiver, since it is within 250 feet of another licensed premise. Procedure, as the council is aware, we've been through this before. We would open it up to public comment. Anyone have any questions, comments about this particular transfer to this location, 13 Patterson Street, 369 George Street, could make public comment, and thereafter close the hearing. And then if the council is so inclined to grant the waiver, that would be on for consideration in your resolution R-022521. I will note for the record that a representative of the applicant on the transfer, Mr. Douglas Schneider, is present here in the council chamber, and I suspect if there's any questions, he could be prepared to answer same.
Okay. Open to the public.
Please.
At this time, we're opening up to the public. If you have anything to say about it, would you please come to the microphone. Please give your name and address for the record. You have up to 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Charlie Crabbill, New Brunswick today. If I may ask, where is the license currently? Is it a pocket license, or is it where the establishment exists?
Clerk.
Council President, the liquor license is currently in the pocket. Prior to the pocket, it was listed at the same location.
Got it. And can you tell me the sale price of the license?
$200,000.
$200,000. Okay, I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Anybody else from the public have any questions, comments, criticisms, temper tantrums, kind words, the other thing? My old school days, sorry. Seeing none, I guess we can close
Close the hearing. Motion.
the hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin. Yes. Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Council President, members of council, if it is the council's pleasure to grant the waiver language in the granting of same is contained in R-022521, which will be considered on consent agenda along with the transfer.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we're now up to ordinances for discussion on second reading. Our first one is an ordinance to amend the supplementary revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Section 328, 120, Parks and Recreation Fees, and updates. Mr. Gillis, or should I ask for Mr. Mulroy?
This one is for Mr. Moore.
Yeah, over.
Sure. Council President, this ordinance updates the fees that the Recreation Department charges for both athletic lighting and use of the fields. These amounts were calculated based upon an annual review of all the fees.
Thank you. Any fellow council members have any questions? All right, we're going to prepare to open it up to the public. Same idea. You give your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes. This is on the second reading of ordinance number 1.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore, Somerset Street. Due to where, is this regards to play safe with recreation, or what type of recreation, or with the teen center? What type of recreation are we talking about?
I think we're talking about Mr. Wilbur.
Yes, Council President, it's once somebody requests to rent one of the parks, they need lights or use of the fields. So it's an organization or individuals.
So, okay, now that you just said that due to, I know they were trying to, I don't know if it went through or not, but I'm wondering if is this part of it, due to where being told that saying, wow, if you want to donate, getting permits or donate food or whatever, use tables in the park to help out homeless and needy, due to where that you may need a permit now. Is that regards to any of this?
No, I don't think so.
Separate?
More for lighting and for paying the people who are there. So like Memorial Stadium, if you need the lights, a half hour before, the lighting, and personnel for their pay.
All right, well explained. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We have number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title II, establishing Chapter 229 entitled Restricted Areas and Buildings Where Municipal Operations Are Conducted, limited to authorized employees only, to protect and safeguard public records containing confidential information. Any council members have any questions?
Yes, I would like to know a little bit more about this, if you could just give us a summation about this particular.
I can take this one, Mr. Council President. In conjunction with the operations of the city and its departments and divisions, the city offices obviously take in personal information from residents, applicants, etc., in connection with their day-to-day operations. A lot of that information and documentation is confidential in nature by way of account numbers, social security numbers, things of that nature. That particular information, as a necessity, is out in plain view when people have to work and compile information, input information for the payment of certain fees, expenses, taxes, etc. This ordinance merely provides a restriction of certain areas within these public offices that people can't come in and access, videotape, etc., whereby that particular exposure would lend to the release or the capture of this confidential information. So that's what this ordinance does. City Hall is still a public building, but there will be areas where employees work with this sensitive material and documentation that will be restricted from people coming in and viewing.
Anybody else? Okay. We have opened up to the public. Again, if you give your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Hello, I'm Carissa Cunningham. I would like to ask that I not be interrupted. At the last meeting, I stood here and spoke about the inhumane conditions at the Code Blue shelter, how people stood for hours in freezing temperatures, how they slept on the floors without blankets.
Okay, this is about the City Hall.
I am finishing my sentence, sweetheart.
Well,
So let me finish my sentence,
okay,
then you can speak.
Make sure
But
that
let me
it's
finish the
on-
sentence, and also you're taking away my
As
timer.
long as this is on the ordinance.
I will keep going then. How a disabled hurt woman with a hurting back was refused assistance by the police, and how the city still hasn't shown up for them. Tonight, we are here discussing yet another ordinance that makes it harder for people of New Brunswick to access their government. Ordinance 0012504, restricting public access to municipal building, is not about security. It is about control. It is about limiting transparency. It is about making it harder for residents, especially the most vulnerable, to ask questions, access services, and hold people in power accountable. Let's be clear. The city already has ways to protect confidential records. Oprah already exists. Locked file cabinets already exist. Barriers already exist. Secure servers already exist. This ordinance does not solve a problem. This is a manufactured problem. It creates a new problem. A problem where people will have to fight for an appointment just to see public records. A problem where unhoused individuals who already struggle to access city services will face another locked door. A problem where journalists, activists, and regular residents will be treated as trespassers in their own government buildings. And let's talk about that for a moment, the trespassing charge. Fines of up to $1,000 for being in the wrong place. $1,000? Do you know how long someone at Code Blue would have to save to afford that fine? Do you know how many of them are arrested for trespassing just for trying to find shelter in public spaces because they have nowhere else to go? And now, you want to extend that logic to city buildings? The city's priority should not be restricting access, it should be making access easier. The city's priority should not be criminalizing public presence, it should be making sure that the public can actually be present in meetings, in record requests, in demanding answers from their government. This ordinance moves us in the wrong direction. It increases barriers instead of removing them, And once again, it shows the city is more concerned with controlling people than serving them. I urge you to reconsider this ordinance, amend it, reduce the fines, ensure public access, make it clear that the city government is accountable to its residents. Because the next time you say you care about transparency or public engagement or, quote, following proper procedures, I want you to remember what you're doing here tonight. You are putting up another wall, another locked door, another way to push people away. And we see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, that's Danielle Moore. I'm going to ask a question due to regards with recording. So are you sensitive, because this was mentioned to me before, due to where I know we have a lot of dishonest, hateful people who are ruining New Brunswick, and you cannot trust. Are you sensitive due to where it was mentioned to me a couple of times? What if I'm doing something, handling business, are you saying that I cannot record someone in any part of the building, city hall, or down in the police department? Are you saying that in this resolution?
No, I don't think so. What we're saying is that there's an opening in the beginning. Once you open the door, is that you just can't walk behind the doors that go into somebody's office or desk or anything else like that. Those are off limits. But if you want to film, is that correct? If you want to film right inside the door and you want to film whatever it might be, that's fine. You just can't go into their desk and offices once you're past that little small door that they have. So
Okay, say even though I'm not talking about the lovely ladies for our city clerk. So what are you saying? If I go into there and talk to them,
It's fine.
and
talk
what?
to them.
And
You just
can I
can't,
record?
you know, the small little door that's maybe to your left?
Okay.
Okay, you just can't go past that door.
Okay, so certain locations, okay?
Right, exactly.
Like I said, I have been being told due to where saying that what I can't record certain things in the city, and I'm like, why? Due to where what? You're hacking my phone, you're going through my business, now what, like I said, due to where the safety, but I will be getting into that due to where, as far as public records, does this have anything to do due to where someone just did it to me? But honestly, like I said, a lot of people think that they're hurting me. I told the person, "Oh, thank you. You just proved the point to me." So, are you saying about going into public records where house meetings, how someone just put up my date of birth, my name on Facebook, saying, "Oh, I have all these criminal charges due to where?" What are you saying? Is that anything that has to do with this?
If it's out on a desk, the person's working at their desk or something like that, and you're trying to zoom in or something like that, that's a possibility.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is almost similar to what the hospital says about so certain things.
Somewhat, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Charlie Cradville. Can I ask, has anyone gained access to the records who should not have?
I'm not sure.
We're not going to discuss that.
I'm just trying to put this in here, just going forward here.
Okay, well, I tend to agree that it seems like what do they call it, a solution in search of a problem. I don't know of any records that have been accessed by anybody who shouldn't have. The ordinance here says that it's to ensure compliance with such laws like the OPRA, the Records Act. And I have some concerns about that because I think that the city has not been very good when it comes to complying with the Open Public Records Act, as has been evidenced in some of the cases I've brought against the city over the years. And I think that, this, right, you already have the power to put up a sign that says authorized personnel only. You don't need an ordinance to do that. So what's the point of the ordinance? Is it just to make it a fine? To make it so you can find people?
Actually, I believe there's more to it than just the signs. There will be signs up, but Mr.
It's
Chairman,
the enforcement aspect of it as well, correct?
Right, so you want to be able to find people.
we want to be able to enforce it.
Right,
I think the sign.
It's my understanding you can put up the sign and the sign counts, right? That's enforceable. What you want to do is fine people, right? You want to actually charge them with violating an ordinance and get money.
If they do that,
Right.
if they go beyond where they're just not supposed to be.
Right, I understand what you're getting at, but I think that, again, this is a solution in search of a problem. This isn't happening. Are people trespassing beyond the areas they're supposed to go? I mean, is this?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to learn more. Who trespassed? When did this happen? What was?
Not sure, I didn't get the whole details, it's just that some people were trespassing, or going where they didn't belong.
Okay, was this recent?
This year, within the last couple of months, I'd say.
Okay, well, I think it's worthy of some more, facts and knowledge before you vote on this. If there is a problem, I would hope the ordinance addresses it, but,
We think it does.
okay, well, I don't know what records were at risk of being seen or photographed or videoed in this case. Do you know what area of the building or what building it was?
I just know City Hall.
Somewhere in City Hall? Yeah, and, the way you described it is perfectly correct in the city clerk's office. It's pretty clear that there's a door that you can go in, you can be there, and you can, conduct your business, and then there's another door that you're not allowed to go past. So I don't see what this ordinance does to change anything in that room. Do you know of any other areas that are going to change or be off limits that weren't before, or this is just?
I think any places that have a front lobby kind of receptionist kind of deal, where you have to be either buzzed in or there's a small door or something along those lines.
Okay. Is this a result of the new Oprah, the changes to the Oprah? Is that something that prompted it, or it's more this incident?
I don't think it has to do with it. I don't think it has to do with it. I think it's more about instances that you see in other places in towns. And obviously we had some people try to move about where they shouldn't be.
Okay. Well, I will say that, in terms of the Oprah, the city has cited the new Oprah as the reason that you no longer share crash reports, and so it's created a lot of difficulty for me personally to be able to get those crash reports. The city has backtracked and changed its position now twice on what the law is, but they're trying to charge $5 each for the crash reports unless you personally come to pick it up, even though case law says that $5 should only be charged for the cost of mailing it. Emailing is, of course, free of charge. It doesn't cost the city anything, but you're illegally charging folks $5 each. I see you got a resolution on first, or an ordinance on first reading that might address that, but that is not legal. And the city law department and police department have come up with this erroneous application of a federal law called the Driver Privacy Protection Act that they're using to redact stuff, including even people's names from the crash reports. So what used to be a truly 100% public record, posted proactively by the city on the website for anybody to review, is now a record that they're going to try to charge you $5 for, and maybe even cross out everybody's name and all the information on it. And I want you to know that the only reason I was able to expose that your colleague, Councilwoman Suzanne Sikora Ludwig, was in a drunk driving crash was because of the transparency that existed with regarding those crash reports. What the city has done has rolled back transparency dramatically, and now it's the only town where I can't get crash reports. You're not following the law, and you're overcharging people. You need to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Anybody else on the ordinance? Seeing none?
Good. Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Number 3 is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, zoning, Chapter 1703, general regulations regarding Section 1703, 225 outdoor mechanical equipment, and Section 1705, 020, off-street parking requirements. Do any of my fellow council people have any questions? Mr. Dominguez? Explain.
Yes, certainly, Council President. So what this ordinance does is, with regard to the outdoor mechanical equipment component, these are things like HVAC condensers, generators, and the like. There are the city has for residential areas, distance restriction on those HVAC equipments of 10 feet from all property lines. But the issue is that we have several parcels in the city that literally are narrower than they're 20 feet or less. You physically, legally could not put one on those properties. And so in an effort to try to meet those properties in the middle somewhat, that change allows that properties under 21 feet of width to only have to comply with 8 feet on each side, which I think would allow properties down to about 18 feet to be able to accommodate one if they center it in their backyard near their house. And for the off-street parking requirements, a few years ago when we did a pretty significant zoning overhaul post the adoption of the master plan back in 2022, due to a formatting issue in Microsoft Word, we accidentally deleted the parking requirement for daycares. And so this is to tweak it, to readjust it, to bring it back into the ordinance. And that's what these changes do.
Thank you very much. Again, we'll open it up to the public. Please give your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes on this ordinance.
Hi, yes, then, just one quick question, due to where honestly I wasn't even coming up on this matter until I just heard something about daycares.
Yeah, it was originally, go ahead, Mr. Dominguez.
Do you have a list of, excuse me, what daycares, like I said, excuse me, with my mouth full, like I said, I wasn't planning on coming up on this until I heard daycare. So do you have a list of what daycares qualify under this, and where can you see it?
I'm not sure what the question is. I don't
Meaning
know.
due to where, how
Do we have a list of any of the
people do
daycare centers?
daycares out of their.
My office doesn't keep a list of the daycares.
Well, then my point is, people do daycare out of their housing due to where, at least about 20 kids. Or like I said, I know there's a daycare center on Somerset Street across from the Children's Center. Well, there's a daycare center on Grip Street. So like I said, I feel that these need to be listed due to where, as regular, a real daycare, if you understand what I'm saying, and knowing due to where, now we have a lot of illegal stuff going on where people can do, like I said, as a resident of 48 years, where it wasn't allowed to do it then. But I would love to see a list of what areas are you saying with the parking for daycares? Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Council President, if I may, just as a bit of clarity here for Ms. Moore and for everyone. There is a great deal of state preemption on zoning when it comes to daycares. Many years ago, in an effort to broaden the amount, I don't know how many years ago, broaden the amount of daycares in the state adopted preemptions on zoning for daycare. So for example, any zone that allows a single-family house in the state has to allow daycares to be able to be run out of those houses, and you cannot treat them differently than a single-family house for the zoning, for parking, or for anything. If, in effect, a daycare run out of a single-family house cannot be required to have additional parking. And this ordinance specifically would only, because of that, apply to daycares run so in sort of a commercial establishment, but even so, there's preemption there in that you cannot use, you have to allow them in all commercial areas, and you cannot use their square footage to dictate their parking requirement. And so this dictates it based on the amount of staff that the daycare has. So I just want to be clear that if Ms. Moore sees a house that's running a daycare, it's probably
But I thank you for explaining, but due to it, just like you said, like I said, as a resident 48 years, we have to have a permit to have a yard sale. I see people doing it every day. Do the police check with them? I guarantee you, as soon as if I had something set up in front of my house to sell, due to where, they come over, excuse me, if you don't have a permit, take this down. Like I said, due to where I do not see equal treatment throughout New Brunswick, and that's my point due to where what I'm saying, where just like you talked about, everyone has to have a permit to do a yard sale. I see the neighbors out of a permit due to where three on a permit, 3 or 4, due to where I used to do it, due to where it's cheap. But like I said, it's only how many times you can do it throughout the year with one person's name. So like I said, I do not see things being said what's based on the law and being said done now. And that's a lot of things, not just this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none?
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We now have an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, zoning, Chapter 1706, signage requirements in regard to Section 1706, 060, permitted sign regulation payment. Does my fellow council people have any questions? Okay, we're about to open up the public. Same thing, name and address for the record. You're up to 5 minutes.
Hi, yes, Danielle, I thought somebody was gonna speak up on this. Now, Mike, I'm gonna do to where I asked already with the recreation.
I'm sorry.
Since
Or
it-
I'll ask. Your time doesn't start yet.
Thank you.
Dominguez, can you,
Thank you, Council President. This one's pretty short. In an effort to allow existing places of worship that are located in our most intense residential zones, the R6 and R7 zones, to have signage, we're adding flexibility to allow them to have signage in our code in those zones if they're already there.
thank you. This morning, time will start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so like I said, I'm just still double checking in. I never saw anything go to a resolution. I'm just still checking due to where about, like I said, starting to get where you have to start getting a permit to set up tables due to where to help out and serve homeless people when you want to help them. But I guess that he said that this does not have nothing to do with it. I just saw permitted sign and table, so that's why I was just checking. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public wish anything on this?
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We have number 5, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 16, Land Development Code, Chapter 1616, provisions applicable to both Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment in regards to Section 1616-050 in regards to hearings. Do my fellow council people have anything? Once again, Mr. Dominguez, you can give an overall.
Thank you again, Council President. So this would bring our practice with the boards in line with what other municipalities do, which is that they require applicants before the Planning and Zoning Board to provide their own court reporter or transcriptionist to provide a transcript of their hearing to the board as part of their application process and as a requirement of their hearing.
All right, we're beginning to open up to the public, and once again, if you could give your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Good evening again, Charlie Cradville. I wanted to ask, the transcripts, will they be public records? Will they be operable? Will they be published, posted on the city website for transparency?
Mr. Dominguez?
The transcripts will be part of the adopted minutes of the hearings.
Okay, good. Well, that sounds like a step in the right direction. I would also just take this opportunity to note that our planning and zoning boards are only recorded on a little tiny audio recorder that doesn't always capture everything. I know that many towns in our area actually record video, and even some of them broadcast that video live for people to watch who can't make it. I think that, high time that New Brunswick gets with the program and starts having the meetings be video recorded, share those videos proactively, and also allow remote access. So transcripts are great, but there's a lot more modern technology that a lot more people are comfortable using. And if you get with that modern technology, you'll probably have more public engagement. That'll be a good thing. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public on that ordinance? Seeing none?
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Number 6 is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, Administrative and Personnel, Chapter 2.64, Department of Police in regard to police extra duty rates for 2025 to 2028. Council member have any? Okay, we're preparing once again to open it up to the public. If you gave your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes on this one.
I have a question. So what will be the police extra duty rate for 2025 through 2028?
Mr. Goldberg?
Sure. Council President, those numbers will be changing each year through the length of this ordinance. So for 2025, it'll be $91.50 per hour, 2026, $94, 2027, $96.50, and 2028, $99.
Thank you.
And can you probably clarify for the public when are cops given extra duty pay?
Council President, it could be for a wide variety of reasons, whether it's like PSAG doing utility work, certain projects such as the Helix, and other projects around the city.
Anything that might affect traffic?
Yeah, forever traffic flow, correct, yes.
Who pays the extra duty?
And those fees are paid by, whoever is requesting to be used. So it's like the developer or the utilities.
Okay. Are extra duty pay being paid to the cops stating that code blue?
Council President, I do not believe that would be for extra duty. Those are just be a city job, and I don't believe that's part of the ordinance.
So no, for the record.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, yes, Daniel Moore, due to where I heard you starting off at $91 an hour, I surely thought due to where when it went through the last time, due to where it was already $93 an hour. Yes, I do understand that these are for construction companies that are paying these officers, but I would say what, to sit on their rear end, please. Like I said, due to where, what, do they even be directing the traffic, helping people to, what, make sure that they're safe getting across the street or whatever? Honestly, what, like I said before, due to where, wow, I told you, Lieutenant, but like I said, I told Captain Hoover before, especially with my phone being on a tracker where I'll give you a little laugh sometimes, due to where I felt like a drill sergeant walking down every time you see something going on, due to where, wow, how they would get out their cars to start doing the work and all. Like I said, due to where, and what I even said, oh my, you better stop that, due to where you almost cost one of your officers their life. Looking at text messages, reading that, Miss Moore's coming down such and such, where he almost got hit by a dumpster truck by the train station during the project. I had told, I would say Captain Hoover now, due to where, but please, even if it is coming from the company, I say, are they really doing what they're supposed to do? Safety, due to where, what? If someone directing traffic, due to where, wow, you wouldn't believe how many close calls that I have witnessed, plus accidents, due to where, what? They're not, they're getting paid to sit on their rear end. And I mean, it's sad, even though it's not the city, but like I said, I could have sworn it was $93 an hour already when I spoke on matters. But like I said, please, I hope to do better, due to where, as far as that's what my concern is all about, safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on this ordinance? Seeing none?
Move the ordinance.
Second?
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We now have ordinances on first reading. Number 1 is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 29, Time Limit Parking, in regards to Livingston Avenue and New Street.
I move the ordinance setting down February 19, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. same day for the advertisement.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. And number 2 is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Sections 328-100, Fees for the Open Public Records, and 328-110, Police Department Fees.
I move the ordinance setting down February 19th, 2025 at 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Foreman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We now have resolutions 1 to 25. Do any of my fellow council members have any questions before I ask? Well, let me ask the people first to explain a couple of things about these. The first one, be number 7. Ms. Shammy, if you could please authorize professional service agreements with Mobile Long Range License.
Yes, Council President, members of council, it also includes a authorization to the Dwyer Canal's Bowling Law Firm. This is a lawsuit filed by Mr. Frank Wright against our presiding municipal court judge, the court administrator, one of my assistant city attorneys, and 2 other employees who work in the housing enforcement section of the city of New Brunswick. It's a federal district court matter alleging discriminatory prosecution, abuse of process, amongst other things. And this resolution is an assignment of counsel, which I have the ability to do as the law director in a matter involving our city employees. I selected counsel that I felt would be capable of handling this matter. And that's the resolution that is presented before you seeking that authorization.
Okay, thank you. Number 9, Mr. Barron, can you tell us about your story?
Council President, members of the council, excellent advice and consent here, a member of a civic league, also involved in a large social working group, and has been a volunteer on a number of different causes here in the city of New Brunswick, and an excellent advice and consent on the agenda tonight. Thank you.
Number 19, Mr. Valenti here. We have an additional amount of 11,000, since this will constitute an increase.
Yes, Solid Electric, on behalf of the city, performs not just for DPW, but also public property and also parks, does quite a bit of electrical maintenance work for us. It's bid annually. I believe this year was renewed for a second year. I don't know specifically what this is for, but it sounds as if this may be, we had to rewire. We have machines that our garbage trucks plug into that condition the diesel and the exhaust system. I believe this to rewire those things, but I can confirm that. But thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on council? Okay. We're beginning to open it up to the public for the resolutions 1 through 25. If you could state your name and address for the record, give us the number that you're talking about, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Good evening again, Charlie Cradaville. I'm interested in learning more about Resolution 7, the accusations of discriminatory prosecution and abuse of process. Is this related to a rent control board matter? Is that fair to say?
No, I believe it's in municipal court, right?
Municipal court prosecution on
I see.
housing tickets.
Okay, so housing maintenance violations.
Correct.
Okay. I noticed it's 2 different firms, so I guess there's 2 different cases. Is that fair to say?
No, Mr. Council President, members of council, these are 5 defendants, 3 of which were represented by one firm, 2 of which by another. The reason being is that there may be a potential conflict having one lawyer represent all 5. So we had to split them up.
Got it. And so I know who the judge is, I know who Ms. Milligan is, I know Charlie Gayton. Who is Brenda Gayton? Is she a city worker?
She is a clerk in the prosecutor's office handling housing code discovery.
Okay. Any relation to Charlie Gayton?
She is.
Okay. And Tom Boylan, if I recall, he...
No relation. No.
Tom Boylan was a housing inspector, right?
So that one
Yes.
was the inspector.
Correct.
Is he still with the city or no?
No.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Thanks for answering those questions. It's good to hear a little background on the new appointee to the Ethics Board. May I ask what their political party is? I believe there's a regulation that says you can only have so many people from one political party on the Ethics Board. Does anybody know?
I know, Mr. Barrett, you know.
Council President, members of the council, I don't have that information.
I could assist, Mr. Council President. I believe that person's an individual who's designated as an I. And I believe that person, anticipating Mr. Cradaville's next question, is filling the unexpired term of Angel Romero. Yes.
Okay, well, thanks. You did anticipate the question, Mike. Thank you. And then Resolution 16, I want to say best wishes to the new fire director, Chris Delatella. I presume you'll be approving him tonight. And I wanted to ask, in this role, is he going to be allowed to do other work? You know, I think he has a business on the side. He's a teacher at a community college. Is he going to have to leave that behind, or is he going to, you know, have another job or another business on the side?
I believe whatever the law allows, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, Council President. I don't know what the details are of Mr. Stellatella's extracurricular work or second profession or job, whatever it may be. I'm sure he'll do what is needed to be done to fulfill his requirements as the fire director.
He's a fire director, not a chief kind of deal.
Oh, it's a full-time position as the fire director. So.
Is there a difference between the fire director and like a police director and a police chief? Is there a difference between a fire director and a...
They're both civilian positions. The fire director and the police director are civilian positions. A deputy chief is a civil service position where they generally work shift work. But a fire director in a civil position, not a civil service position, a civilian position, that's 5 days a week. Generally, fire director, police director, 7 days a week they have to be on the pole.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's obviously a very important role being the fire director, and it's generally good to work these things out in advance and, know what to expect. But I did want to ask is, for instance, is he going to be attending these meetings? I know it's often said that, the department heads attend these meetings and they're available to answer questions. Not every department head does attend the meetings. Like, for instance, tonight I don't see anybody from the, well,
if the department head wants to come, fine. If he wants to send a representative, that's also fine.
Okay. So, is there a representative here from the fire department? Ms. Smith is here.
Council President.
Yes.
Any matters that relate to council prior to the appointment of the fire director was put on the agenda by administration because there was no fire director for that time. So I'm glad to represent any questions of the fire department. Deputy Chief Oss, who normally is here, is at the FMDA conference. So if there's any questions Mr. Cradwell has, I'm more than happy to jump in.
Okay, if I could just ask one more on Resolution 25. It's great to replace lead service lines. We need to get rid of all the lead pipes. Can you tell me, have you identified lead service lines in the city, and if so, where?
Mr. Wallace.
We do have some records, but mostly they're unknown. So right now we are doing surveys inside houses, so we see what the service line material is that enters the premise, which would indicate what the service line is from the curb to the house. We're going to engage in a program. This is the first component that we have to get in place to do what we call test hauling, or potholing, behind the curb at the shut-off, and then we can see both sides of the service and then neck down on that unknown.
Thanks. Good luck. Yes, Mr. Jules.
Would it be okay if Mr. Melli, our utility business manager, gave us a little information about how a resident can look up their own property as it relates to this program?
Absolutely, please.
Thank you, Council President and Administrator Drulis. So there's a program that EPA chose New Brunswick to participate in, and it was quite a big deal. Part of that program, a website was established that a consumer could follow the instructions and go in their basement and step-by-step identify the service line. That identification counts towards the city's obligation to identify everything. The site was turned off at the end of December because of the accelerator program. The first phase of it stopped. We are opening our own site, which will be up in about 2 more weeks, and continue that process. So the data that was collected under the EPA, we have that data. Mr. Mulrine does a lot of work with us in merging it in with the systems we have. And then going forward, we will own the site. The city will have its own site, and we could control it as need be. Any other aspects of that need clarification?
I think so. Thank you for your expertise. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Cunningham. I have a question about number 13. We accepted the extension of the grant agreement and funding the amount of $5,100 for the creation of a mural in Pittman Park. I have several questions about this. First of all, how long will it take to create the mural? Will the public still have access to the park during that time?
I believe we'll have, I think Mr. Jones is here. Mr. Copeland.
Hi, Michael Toplan. I'm an arts administrator for the city, so I can answer this. The city has done several murals throughout the city. This one in Pittman Park will be a partnership with the Civic League. There will be access for the people to use it. There's been no design yet. We are just in the process of contacting the artist and getting the community involved to get their input to see what goes into the program.
Okay, I just wanted to highlight, to make sure that people can still access it, because there are homeless people that use the parks and need access to it. So I just want to make sure that there will be no police posted in the park as a result of this.
I'm sure there's no police, but there might be some cordoning off of where they're doing the mural.
Where they're painting there may be, but since it's
No
off the
expensive park
sidewalk,
over.
I would not think that there'll be police blocking, because it doesn't look like it'd be in the right of way of anything, so.
Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. I'm very excited about that, and I'm glad thought about the access to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, yes, Diana Moore. Okay, I would like to also talk about 13. Due to where, I heard you say off the sidewalk, due to where, is this going to be on Handy Street side or Seaman Street side?
It is.
Or in the park?
In the park, possibly along that small wall, there's that sort of 2-foot wall along that, and in the park we are totally in the beginning stage, so there hasn't been a design set, so
Well, my main concern, even though, like I said, I'm an artist, I would want to be able to participate, but I will say, wow, as I said before, that some of the people over there that are doing their habits, let the public over there help give them something to do, like I said, to distract yourself. So I hope that will be to see. And honestly, once I hear a date or see something about it, I will spread word to a few of them that I know due to where it has skills, with, who has also problems over there. Then the other thing, excuse me, I'm just a little slower now. Now my arm, and I did it for a reason, and my arm hanging out. Now, getting back to 25. Now, is this Mott McDonald Group on Somerset Street? Or is that a different, which one? Well, either way, my point is I just heard you saying checking where engineering services for lead service line, due to where my landlord, he's from Michigan, but just got a letter a month and a half ago saying due to where, what? So is every house in New Brunswick gonna have, every owner of a house gonna have to have it dug up in front of their house, which it says on the paper, due to where to replace the line. Now, for example, how I checked on Oxford Street. You see all the water where the city can valves where the city can come up and turn the water. Now on Somerset Street, due to where this is the issue, due to where how he got the paper, not just him, quite a few other residents got the paper, saying due to where you want to see, like you said, check the pipelines, due to where I realized that a lot of the houses over there, either they're deep down in the ground, and I'm just concerned due to where it said that basically a lot of houses you will be doing this. Can you just give me an idea about how much this will cost, due to where, once you said checking for lead, due to where I guess you feel it's not coming from you want to make it that it's not coming from our water plant, you want to see if it's from the landlord, but due to where, can you give me, like, how much would this really cost for each owner to do this same exact thing, what you're doing here?
This particular resolution is to hire the engineer that will oversee the project, in terms of inspections with the contractor that will actually be doing the work. The program, we are applying for monies to about $12.5 million.
So
we're looking to
I don't mean to cut you off, but I just don't want you to kill my time. So, okay, is the city gonna pay for, or does the homeowners have to pay the same exact thing that you're having to test here?
That's what the $12.5 million really is for. We're going to try to identify up to 5,000 services and replace, we're anticipating 500 or so galvanized.
Great news. I think you'll put a smile on this face. Due to where he has more than one house. Thank you for explaining. And then the last one, due to where, let's see. That's where, so getting back to you, Mr. Shammy, are you in charge of Judge James Holbert?
Number 7.
Excuse me, yes, 7. Are you in charge of Judge James Holbert?
I am not in charge of the judge.
Well, I meant due to where I was told that, maybe due to where I took it to the state, okay, due to where I'm not saying against Ms. Kimberly Milligan, due to where I was told, due to where you are in charge of, you're the city in charge of certain ones in the municipal report. What, Tracy Bernari, I see Ms. Charlie Gaden, due to where certain things, due to where her sister, so are you in charge?
To the extent, Mr. President, members of council, to the extent an individual works in the law department, yes, I am the director, I am technically their boss. But Judge Hobish does not work for me and the law department, nor does Court Administrator Milligan, nor does former housing inspector Boyle.
Well, okay, thank you. Like I said, I got my answer due to where I was told for Tracy Bernari that you're in charge of her, and I guess we will be going further with that. I already sent it to James Holbrook to the state, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Yes.
Hey y'all, how you doing? Brandon Gillabo from Harvey Street. Shout out to us for getting rid of lead in our pipes, thank God. So I just had a quick question for 25. Is that going to be for a team of engineers? And do we have like an ETA as to how long that's going to be going?
This is anticipated to last through 2026.
Oh, and this would just be the funding just straight through 2026, right? This would be the full funding.
Right.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Seeing none?
Move the resolution.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin. Yes. Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We have items for discussion by the council. One of the things I've asked Councilman Fleming to do, obviously February is Black History Month, and if you could give a couple of thoughts on it.
Yeah, Black History Month is important to be celebrated because literally the occupants of the White House now have given directives. They said that the federal government will not recognize Black History Month at all. They won't have any celebrations. They won't have people over giving awards. They're just going to treat it. They said they're going to teach all history. And so it's important that we have states right now that are moving to stop celebrating Black History Month because it might make people feel uncomfortable. But the truth is that history should make people uncomfortable because if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And I just want to give a quick reading and then a reflection on this. This is written by Langston Hughes over 100 years ago. It's called I Too. It says, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh, I eat well, and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen. Then, besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. What this represents is, like I said, this was written over 100 years ago, but it can be easily written today about what we're going through today. Because 100 years ago, they were trying to make black people and people of color disappear. Now today, over 100 years later, they're trying to make people disappear. They're trying to make our Latino brothers disappear by mass deportations. They're trying to make black men and women disappear by false incarceration, mass incarceration, drugs, and high-tech lynchings and things like that. And just yesterday, the person that's in charge of the White House made an announcement to say that they wanted to clear out our Palestinian brothers and sisters out of Gaza Strip and make it into a Riviera. But we can't allow that to happen. If we continue to teach history, we got to go get through these next 4 years. And maybe people might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you should feel uncomfortable because if you don't feel uncomfortable in the space that you're in, you're never going to move and do something about it. So I just hope that everybody will continue to celebrate. It's a celebration of American history, which is Black history, and they intertwine with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can all get along. At this time, we're preparing to open the meeting for public comment for up to 5 minutes per person, one time up. If any member of the public wishes to speak during this public comment portion of the meeting, please approach the council. Again, please give your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Chris Cunningham. I'd like to thank Councilmember Fleming for acknowledging Palestine. I know there's a ceasefire, but people are still being killed in the West Bank and in Jenin as well, so I appreciate that you brought that attention, and I appreciate the statements and commitment to Black History Month. I think that's very important. I want to talk a little bit about Keith Jones II, however. I believe that he should be fired immediately. This is a man who has repeatedly failed the city. This is a man who has lied, stalled, deflected, and ignored suffering. This is a man who has proven in his own words he has no business running this department. And since none of you guys were in attendance of the meeting, I'd like to share with you some of his words. 1, he said, New Brunswick does not house people. He said that. That's a direct quote. We do not house people. That's what he said. Then what does the city do? Because I see a whole lot of luxury developments going up. I see a whole lot of tax breaks for out-of-town developers. I see a whole lot of investment in people who do not live here, who do not work here, who do not know the city like I do. But when it comes to our people, when it comes to our most vulnerable residents, Suddenly there's no money. Suddenly it's, quote, not the city's job. If you're in charge of human and community services and you do not believe housing is a part of that responsibility, then he should step aside and let someone else take over. 2, he eliminated volunteers to hide his failures. Jones removed volunteers from the Code Blue program. The very people who were feeding, clothing, and witnessing the suffering of the city were kicked out. And what did he say when he was asked about it? Quote, volunteers are not needed for Code Blue. There's a million other things we can have volunteers do, but Code Blue is not there. Citing, quote, liability with no other explanation. Volunteers saw failures. Volunteers saw the conditions. Volunteers saw how many people were being turned away. And Keith Jones couldn't have that. So he shut the doors and cut off community oversight. This wasn't about efficiency. This wasn't about liability. This was about control. This was about secrecy. And it is unforgivable. 3, he sent people to the police instead of the shelter. Instead of expanding shelter space, instead of actually helping people, he sent them to the police station lobby. A freezing person in crisis, go sit on the floor of the police station. Someone needing warmth in the dead of winter, hope the cops let you stay inside. The city is not doing its job, and Keith Jones is actively making it worse. He admitted that there aren't enough beds, and then used it as an excuse to do nothing. He openly stated, and I quote, there aren't enough beds in the city, the county, the state, we understand that, we get that. Okay, then what are you doing about it? And then he says this, no matter if we give you 40 beds, no matter if we give you 60 beds, no matter if we give you 100 beds, it would not be enough. That's what he said. So he admits that even 100 beds would not be enough to take care of the problem in this city. Okay? But calls us crazy for asking for 40. Okay? What kind of defeatist nonsense is this? We don't refuse to build hospitals because they won't cure every disease. We don't refuse to build schools because they won't teach every child. But Keith Jones refuses to expand Code Blue because he has already decided that no solution is worth trying. And that is why he needs to go. 5, he tried to criminalize feeding the homeless. In 2021, Keith Jones tried to push an ordinance to restrict mutual aid. Think about that for a second. People in this city, ordinary residents just like me, saw the suffering in their own neighborhoods and they did something about it. They cooked food. They handed out supplies. They stepped up where the city failed. And Keith Jones' response? Try to regulate it, try to police it, try to shut it down. It was only because of massive public opposition, and espoir, that these restrictions didn't pass. But the fact that he even attempted to tell you everything you need to know about his priorities. A man who tries to make it harder to feed the hungry is a man who should not be in charge of anything ever. 6, he tried to keep the press out of this meeting, the most recent one. And thank you, Charlie Cradleville, for doing your public duty and still covering it, all right, despite being asked not to. And the final result, he tried to keep journalists from covering this roundtable. He tried to limit who could report on the conversation. He tried to keep the public in the dark. And why? Because he knows how bad it looks. He knows that public scrutiny exposes his flaws. Because he knows that if the people of New Brunswick see the full extent of his incompetence, they will demand his removal, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Fire Keith Jones and let the community choose his replacement. I've said everything I need to say. You have his own words with proving his failure. Can I have an extra minute, please?
30 seconds.
Fire him immediately and do not replace him with another political outsider. Let the community pick the replacement. And if this council refuses to act, if you choose to keep this man in power, then let it be known that you are complicit in every single failure, every single act of cruelty, every single death that comes from your inaction. I will not stop coming here. I will not stop speaking. And if you try to silence me, I will stand in civil disobedience. Because I live here and I will not go away. Terminate Keith Jones now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Yes, Danielle Moore. I'm going to start off to where an announcement to Council Member Glenn Fleming. Wow, you're so concerned about Black History Month. I guess that as a Black resident for 48 years, why have you never damn supported or helped the Black folks in New Brunswick? So why are you so damn concerned now? Then the next one I will speak on. Out of the goodness of my heart, I'm going to thank the 2 EMS, New Brunswick Fire Department, and 3 police officers responding to my house yesterday morning about 10:43 due to where I found my son collapsed in his bedroom with blood coming out of his mouth and having a grand mal seizure. I appreciate everyone due to where you can see, like I said, wow, it's been 1 year New Brunswick did this to me. I still can't move my arm, but I have the paperwork to go through this with the surgery now. Now, I would like to thank them for all moving things out by the doors to get my son out immediately. God bless you, I will thank you all. But sad to say, do I think my son really learned a lesson? But like I said, I'm a person where I will treat you equal. I don't care who the hell you are. I'm going to turn, now that I found out what the situation is, I will not allow it in my house, and believe me, I will turn his ass in. Now, getting back to opioids as well, due to where, come on, it's been November 1st, 2023. The first grant you got, $342,000, $726.48. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but you received over four grants. You're over $1.1 million. Come on and help with the addiction. It's not whether the person wants to have help. It's not whether they want to be, if they're grown. Like I said, if you're the right person to speak to people, some will listen to you. Like I said, how many did I help over to Pittman Park when I did have the time? I can't go anymore to where, wow, like I said, and just with me moving, my arm will not move. It's torn from New Brunswick Police Department in 3 locations. Please, tell Jamal, I'm sorry to say this to Jamal, but whoever is in, please tell Captain Hoover, please tell Jamal James to arrest me now for Lieutenant Nicholas DeFalco, Detective Keith Walcott saying due to where you can file charges on me. I know what my rights is. The law is to carry maces of 3.5 ounces. But wow, how I have it on record and paper, you will charge me? But wow, you would not charge these 2 people with medical gloves on due to where with police mace, where over 4 ounce, her can is over 4 ounces. Wow. And I'm going to say, I'm going to take action with that bar owner due to where, yes, why does he allow his, due to where, like I said, the one that I just showed you dated from 2022 that I bought. I have it, but now to get due to where, wow, how does his employees get to assault someone? Due to where, wow, somebody put it up on Facebook about me. Yes, the only thing I've ever been charged for 25 years ago, that was for shooting dice at Joyce Cumber Park, where I had to pay a fine. But wow, I realized Talisha Robinson, due to where how many disorderly conduct she has, Shane Crouch, possession of weapon, how many charges he has, then due to where Corey Jackson Skinner, the one, almost 7 pages for each one of them. Wow, New Brunswick protecting them due to what? I've been to court 2 times against them. James Joe Hobart, like I said, due to where what? Talisha Robinson is in court, let her go. Shane Crouch does not show up in court due to where what? No warrant. So what, you mean to tell me I suffered from concussion, a busted blood vessel? Wow, because New Brunswick Police Department set this whole entire thing up. And I have the evidence, and I guarantee you, I will be going to the damn news channel. But see, one thing I noticed due to where, wow, that was 2003 when I helped Shane Crouch's ticket, where he was arrested over to the bar 2 times, hit someone with a bat, then he picked up a Mexican guy, also threw him out the store. Begged me, no, I was just protecting them. The owner came down there to bail him out for $750. I can't say which one it was. He said, oh yes, it was a nice tall white male, with a white shirt on. Hey, get them handcuffs off of him. Wow, where the hell the damn charges are now for them. But wow, you want to treat me like a criminal? Like I said, oh please, I am hurting. Wow, do you wonder how I really had to get my hair done today? What, I had to take double dose of pain medicine because I cannot sit down only with my legs open. Believe me, if I was such a damn prostitute like New Brunswick was saying, why didn't I have my legs open and walk with shorts on?
Since Ms. Moore presented a defense weapon in here, human being to human being, I would strongly suggest you go speak with Detective James outside to make sure she's carrying the lawful amount. I would really not like to see her in a compromising position based over a misunderstanding of the law.
And there you go, right there, you can check
I'm
it,
just
come
going to
on.
suggest that you and Jamal go outside and make sure you have the
Go
proper
ahead,
thing.
why don't you
Detective
come
James,
with
can you please go
him?
with her? Because I'm
I
in a
said
meeting.
it for a reason, come on.
Next.
Why don't you come?
Because I'm in the meeting. I'm trying to do you a favor.
Oh, you're not doing me a favor, you never did.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris, I'm a community member who works with vulnerable community members.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Oh, Chris?
I'm sorry, it's just a little difficult to hear you, so
Oh.
it's just
A little closer. Is it not hearing me?
Yeah, it's working. Is it possible just to talk into the mic without the mask? And face this way?
Yeah. I am talking to them, I don't think the mic is on. I can talk louder.
Yeah, talk loud, that'd be great.
Which good? Okay. Over the last few months, shelter providers, faith leaders, and community members have come to these council meetings, just trying to get answers and understand a little better why certain services aren't being provided for our vulnerable community members. So I just wanted to address you directly with a few follow-up questions for things that have been brought to this council. The first is inside the Code Blue Warming Center, Spanish-speaking community members have stated that there is no Spanish-speaking or bilingual staff to help address them. Can this council work on hiring bilingual staff and providing translators so that people feel cared for and can communicate? Is that something you guys can look into?
We can look into it.
Okay, thank you. Additionally, at the Code Blue Warming Center, community members are not offered food or drinks for the 12 hours that they are locked inside the building. Can this council commit to providing community members with basic needs for those 12 hours that they're coming inside?
We can't guarantee anything about those lines.
But at least we can look into it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Community members have also reported that the beds are too close together, and even though there is more space available to give them, they've also stated that the cots are not clean. Can this council work towards providing community members with more sanitary and comfortable sleeping arrangements?
Something we'll look into.
Okay. Additionally, community members have stated that when they go inside of the building, the heat is not being utilized. They've mentioned that although it is freezing outside, they're coming in to still sleep in the cold. This is obviously dangerous because it is below zero some nights, especially when you keep in mind that they have to wait hours to get inside of the Code Blue Warming Center. Can this council see to it that our community members will be able to sleep in warm conditions at the warming center?
So there's a problem with the heat, you're saying?
Yes. Thank you. Additionally, community members have reported at the Dignity Center that if they come early, the showers are freezing. And this process of having to line up and shower with strangers feels dehumanizing. They've stated that a solution could be that whoever is working come in a little earlier so that they can warm up the showers, so that people who are coming in out of freezing conditions are not also going in and showering in freezing conditions and then leaving in dangerous conditions to get pneumonia or worse.
May I clarify? So they're saying specifically in the very beginning it's cold,
Yes.
not the entire duration?
Yes, in the very beginning, people who have to go to work are saying that they have to go then and freeze in the showers. Okay. I thank you guys for listening, and if we want to take on tackle homelessness in Brunswick, we should start with care-focused care. So, thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I just want to just give a thank you for some of the suggestions that you have spoken about. They have been communicated to the administration and to the staff. Just so you know, as to the best of my knowledge, and I haven't heard differently, and I apologize if if I gave you the incorrect information, but the city is looking to see there's other exploring alternatives to the site that we have now. And I have mentioned this before, so that's, to the best of my knowledge, it's an ongoing process that we're gonna, that the Code Blue location will be looking for to expand the location. In terms of the cuts, you know, the same, it has been communicated. To the best of my knowledge, everything has been resolved. You know, there was no challenge. We do have a certain amount of cuts that we know, and we acknowledge that. And the chairs, since this is a warming center, you know, we're looking at exploring what can we do moving forward. In terms of the heat, we were not aware that the heat wasn't working, so we'll find out. And the dinner center, the showers, we didn't know. So we will make sure that we will follow up with the staff and see if we could get an update on that.
Thank you.
My name is Malchi Sharma, and I live along George Street. A lot of people brought up the last homelessness council meeting and certain worries regarding that. During the meeting, one thing that was told was that Code Blue was being promoted, and that it was, I think, somewhere near the school. I'm not sure on the exact details, but I remember them saying that we should promote Code Blue. But I don't understand why I would promote a facility that is constantly at capacity. Why was the advice that we could promote Code Blue when it's already at full capacity? Why is the responsibility to the people to promote something that it's been established is not working effectively? What was the point of the homelessness council meeting if that was one of the main alternatives given? Also, during the meeting, I know people were urged to attend the meetings and ask questions. And there was a piece of paper, and I did put 3 of my questions there. And I think there were questions that would help me understand what is going on to improve these conditions. I did not receive any answers, and I got told I would receive them in 1 to 2 days. And if there's a delay, I understand, but it's hard to communicate and understand what's going on to fix the issues if I don't get anything back. I'm also a student at Rutgers, and the thing is, it's weird to learn about so many issues about gentrification, about homelessness in my classrooms, and then to walk to get food at New Brunswick and to see so many people starving, so many people begging, so many people cold. It is just a contrast that, as a student at Rutgers, it's disheartening to see. So it's just a request to maybe get some of those questions back, and perhaps at the next council meeting, maybe address how promotion of something that's at capacity can't possibly be the alternative at the moment.
And those questions were asked at the meeting with Mr. Jones and his staff, right?
Yes.
Which is under the mayor's prerogative, is that right, Mr. Jules? As the executive branch. So he hires and fires, but Mr. Jones or not. So it's the department you really have to call and find out, why didn't I get to
We've been calling, he's not answering. Do your job and communicate on our behalf.
And not to intercept, I will do that, and I appreciate it.
And we'll ask Congressman, or Councilwoman Escobar is one of our leaders, checking out different things with Code Blue and stuff like that. So we'll ask her to follow up on some of those things.
Just so you know, moving forward, I will try to attend the meetings. I wasn't able to attend the one last week because I was for work-related matters. But I'm going to try to be there also and see. And I still believe that that's the place to answer these questions. And the questions were not answered. You should have the right to say, why were my questions not answered? Because that's where the appropriate place, right? But I appreciate that you come back and give us feedback. But I would still encourage that even if you don't get answers, that still going and until you get the answers that you feel that you need, right? That I don't see that the questions that you ask seem outrageous, right? And the staff should have been able to answer those questions. But like I said, I will be attending, and if there's anything that I could help with in the meantime, that meeting, we look at it. But I know the staff is working on it. I think that maybe it was just one of those days. Sometimes we have good days and sometimes we don't have not so good days.
That I
But I
understand.
will make sure that we do our best to answer the questions.
Right.
moving
I
forward.
completely understand. I appreciate you saying you're gonna show up. It's just I was told after the meeting too. I was told my name was asked, obviously, just to know who was there. And then they told me, well, I think it was Keith Jones specifically, told me it would be answered within days. And I completely understand everyone has good and bad days. It's just if there's a representative, I assume that they have the responsibility to say things in a current way and manner. With every position comes responsibility. I appreciate you acknowledging my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
President, can you please restate your name? I want to follow up.
Just, excuse me, could you just restate your name as Mr. Julis would like to follow up on certain things?
Of course. My name is Salanchi Sharma.
And Mr. Jones has, with your question, your name on that? He does respond to you? On
Yes.
the paper, you wrote down your name and your...
I did write down my name. I think he was just trying to understand my name. What I meant to emphasize was that we had an interaction where I was promised an answer. Nothing of any other regard.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Charlie Prattville, Sedan Street, New Brunswick. I'll start out talking about the same topic, the homelessness roundtable meeting. I thought it was good that it was held. I think it's good that the public was invited to come. But unfortunately, the public was led to believe there'd be a public comment opportunity, a chance to speak to the people at the roundtable, but that did not occur. It was a time-limited meeting. They said we're going to end at a certain time, and by the time they got to that time, they had not called on the public. So the only way for the public to engage was to fill out that form and put their questions in writing. And it's disappointing to hear that questions were written down per the policy that was put forth, and still folks didn't get answers. So it's unfortunate that folks were directed to an outlet that wasn't fulfilled. I also thought there were many contradictions. The last speaker brought up the fact that a huge emphasis was put on promoting Code Blue, but it was stated that it is consistently at capacity. Can somebody confirm that this is, the warming center is filling up on a frequent basis?
That's what was stated.
I'm sorry?
That's what was stated at the meeting.
That's what was stated at the meeting, and
Right.
Councilwoman Escobar will follow up.
Okay, so I mean, it's just like, it's weird to say we need to promote this more if promoting it more is going to lead to more people getting turned away. What we really need is that second location, more cots, more beds, more space. And I understand they're making moves on that too, but the time is now. It's freezing cold. On the way here, I see 10, 15 people waiting outside at 5:15 for a place that doesn't open until 7. How about this? Why can't we say, starting tomorrow night, we're going to open at 4 or 5 instead? Why can't we do that right away? Add more hours.
I believe the hours are regulated by the Code Blue statutes.
Blue statutes.
The statute has times in it.
These regulations, I'd be glad to look that up.
Okay. Well, I would be shocked if those regulations say that you can't open up earlier, or if if they limit you.
To Mr. Cradaville's sense of time, what time things open, how long they last. I don't think the regulations do what he says they don't do. There's no restrictions on when you can open.
Yeah, so let's let them in. Let them in.
Okay, if there's people there to basically take care of them or something, that's...
Yeah, you gotta have the staff. You gotta be able to do it. You gotta be ready. But they're there every day, getting there extra early so they make sure they get a spot. And it's cruel to leave them outside. They're freezing cold. Let them in. That's my view. I also want to ask about immigration and customs enforcement. Enforcement removal operations agents. I've seen some disturbing videos of them operating in New Brunswick, messing with surveillance cameras on a home, harassing a motorist, and I wanted to ask what you're doing about it. What are you doing about federal agents that are violating people's constitutional rights and not doing things properly?
Well, it's my understanding that the New Brunswick Police Department, correct me if I'm wrong, is not really helping ICE in any way, except for a traffic control or something like that, or can you direct me?
I would expand it further. We're not helping them at all. They're not obligated to tell us when they operate in the city, and we don't ask, and we don't have any participation in it. That's by Attorney General guidelines. It's been like that for years.
Understood. I guess what I'm asking is, what are you doing? can we educate people about their rights? Is there a way that we can be
There's
more
definitely
responsive
things
to these
going on
concerns?
about seminars
This is
and stuff
disturbing
like
to me, and
Yes.
I don't want to see this in my city.
Just with that, I know that some of us, most of us, have been involved in different activities and trying to come together in workshops with stakeholders, community-based organizations, the Mexican consulate, to make sure that our residents have the information that they need if they do encounter a nice situation. So we are educating the public and the residents on their rights, because they do have rights. So we want to make sure that, and there have been a number of workshops in the city that have been very well attended. So it's an ongoing process. The more information, even if we need to repeat it 20,000 times, the more that because there's a lot of misinformation also. There have been, I have received numerous calls of they have seen ice, but nothing had happened. So there's confusion, and that's understandable. So we're trying to, as much as we can, to make sure that the community remains safe, that do not let fear take over, and that the best way to help them is to make sure that they know and understand their rights.
I hope the city can help promote and organize things like that. If I may just have another minute, I have a few more
30 seconds.
Regarding transparency and the Open Public Records Act, the city is going down the wrong path here when it comes to crash reports. I requested a meeting with Mr. Shammy to discuss this. He rejected my request. I requested a meeting with Captain Shaw to discuss this, and he ignored my request. I've requested a meeting with the city clerk, and I'm not sure if she got back to me yet. Could you ask the city clerk if she's willing to meet with me about this?
You can ask her afterwards. Don't want to waste your time. Go ahead.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think it's really astonishing that Captain Shaw has refused to give case law to defend his position. I've asked politely, what are the cases? He says there's cases, but he refuses to give them. That's basically taunting and inviting litigation. He's basically saying, you've got to sue us to find out what cases we're relying upon. And that's not the way to handle this. Let's sit down and have a meeting, and if I'm wrong, and there is case law, I'll back down. But I want to have this discussion and be right. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wishes to make any public comment?
There was some discussion tonight about the homeless roundtable meeting, and I wanted to know that myself and Mr. Goldberg attended. We were in the audience. And some of the quotes that were brought up and some of the facts that were brought up, I can't dispute them. Although I will say there were some assertions that were mixed into those quotes and those facts that were opinions. And being there present, I had my own opinions, and they're different than was brought forward today. I think Mr. Jones cares deeply for this community, for the work he does. I think he, particularly the homeless community, and I have to refute some of the statements that were made regarding his characterization and the work he does. As relates to some of these items, I'll be glad to follow up in support of the council's efforts, particularly with the Q&A and the questions. We've had almost successive code blue night after night after night. The same folks who staffed that meeting are also in charge of running that code blue, and I know they've been very busy, but our response is due, and I'll work with them to get that response. There's never intended to be a public comment session, as was brought up at that meeting. I think that public comments are something more for meetings governmental, such as this, a public roundtable. I'm sure bring that back to Mr. Jones as well. All in all, I was glad to be part of that meeting. I felt there was a lot of information on the agenda. It's going to take a number of these meetings to move through all this information and discuss it, and I encourage folks to continue to participate in that. Thank you.
Can you clarify, Mr. Brunis?
Yes.
In terms of the, so there's, I don't think the public comment is, I don't think that's kind of an issue. I think it's more, it's the public, because that's what we encourage them to go to the meeting, right? To ask questions, right? If I recall correctly. So is that encouraged for them to make questions, to have questions while they're attending that meeting? Because that's what we move them over there, because we feel that that's the best place to bring any concerns or any suggestions, and to have the public input, which Mr. Jones was the one who invited the public to do.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that people understand what is it that we're not saying that they do not come.
Right.
So come and ask questions that we we still encourage that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to add something. It's just a systemic process thing for us to consider, because the department handles more than just Code Blue, there's a system of operations. If that staff have to do all of that work and Code Blue, and also we're adding the responsibility of responding to our community partners, I could be well ill-informed, but that does seem like a lot of workload, and especially when we're talking about timeliness, so we might also have to talk about different support systems as well.
Any other council members? Seeing none, so have we motion to adjourn? Motion. Second.
Second.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin. Yes. Council Vice